like it.
Pretty big fish to fry. That's a pretty big fish to fry. My, oh, my. My. That's a pretty big fish to fry. That's a pretty big fish to fry. My, oh, my. Last weekend I barely thought I'd make it out alive. Told myself I'd take time and give some love a try. I was alive. My, oh, my.
Oh, it is Thursday, Rocktober the 19th, 2017. You're checking out the premier sports and beer podcast coming to you from all over this great country, roots in Jersey. It's Low and Outside, lowandoutside.com. We appreciate you taking the time tonight, folks. We have a big show to get to. Whole lot of crap going on in the world of sports, so let's waste no time.
Why don't you go back home to your street malls and drink your Zimas and Smirnoff Ices? Oh, yeah! The greatest beer in the world ever!
Somebody from the bar.
Yeah, I like cool beverage, yeah. I like cool beverage, yeah. I like cool beverage, yeah. Cause I'm feeling kind of party. Stick it in the fridge, stick it in the fridge, stick it in the fridge.
All right, so tonight I have dug into the bottom of my refrigerator and gone with a heavy hitter for those of you that are watching at home. I'm going with the Lost Abbey, the gift of the Magi. It is a farmhouse lager with Brett.
Hi.
And it is a 12% alcohol by volume farmhouse lager. So I am going to have one of these tonight, and we'll see how the show goes from there. So.
Not a small bottle either, right?
No, but I'm not going to have the entire bottle. So hopefully I'll be able to get some of it tomorrow or the next day or whatever before it goes bad. Denville, what do you got, bro?
Hey, dude. I did not dig to the back of my fridge. I dug to the front of my fridge. Fresh off the lines from Magnify. Intergalactic Event.
So it's an IPA?
Oh, my goodness, sir. You guessed right. It is an IPA. Double dry hopped, though. Oh, wait, just like every other one they make. Yeah, can release yesterday, series of 3. So I decided to I was running low. I think I was out, or I had like 1 or 2 beers left. So I said I'll pick up a couple 4-packs. Variation of their Main Event beer, which was pretty good. And Main Event was a play on that. I'm sorry if I'm sniffling or I cough a lot tonight. I got like attacked with allergies today for some reason. So Main Event was kind of a play on New England IPAs, that like juicy yet
chunky, right? It had like potatoes and cream.
Yeah. Yes, I'm not sure where you're going with this. Yes, there were a lot of clams. It was infused with a lobster roll.
Right. Lobster.
But yeah, it was. It's pretty good. This is my first couple sips. So as soon as Nikki talks about the old Ballast Point that he's had in the back of his fridge for the past 8 months, I will be checking it in on Untappd. So look for it there too.
All right, Nikki, what do you got?
I got some homemade wine again.
Ooh,
Homemade wine is back by request.
It's back by request.
Low and Outside listener Chris Gann was asking me where we were this week, because we had normally we're either Tuesday or Wednesday. Most of the time lately we've been Wednesday. But he was wondering where we were, and he said, "Until Nikki's got to have a couple of drinks, because he's better when he has a couple of drinks."
that I agree with wholeheartedly.
Yeah, so we'll see. Hopefully the homemade wine kicks Nick into another gear. Let's do this.
Who cares?
This is not the number one on the list, but I will say right now, Carmelo Anthony and the Oklahoma City Thunder have just tipped off their season opener against his former team, the New York Knicks.
Who cares?
Okay, so let's move on right from there. Rick Pitino. Did you guys see this? Rick Pitino is suing Adidas.
Did you see this? Did you hear about this? Did you see this?
Did you?
I said it once before. I'll say it again. What an asshole.
He's suing Adidas for improperly paying his players. Like, are you serious? Like he like that's a legitimate lawsuit on his mind. Like he's gonna sue the company that paid him like $1.5 million for the right to pay his players to go to his college.
So is he trying to plead like he didn't know what was going on and he's suing them because he's like, you're meddling in my business without me knowing? Is that what the whole case is?
Of course he is.
You can sue for ignorance. I thought the whole law was like ignorance is not a defense in the law. So that was
I think basically the lawsuit is that like they're saying that as Melo hits his first three against the Knicks, awesome. He's saying that basically their actions cost him the job, even though he wasn't tied into it. They improperly, implicated him. Blah blah blah. Nonsense. And he had a whole interview with somebody, I don't even know who the hell it was, where he was like, it's not about my legacy. It's not, that stuff doesn't matter. It's just, it's not right. It's not right what happens. Like, come on,
dude.
With all the other stuff that he tried to pull, he's worried about this.
Like, come on. You're a scumbag. Just get over it.
Who cares?
Speaking of scumbags, Ezekiel Elliott was granted another stay so he can play in the NFL right now while that is all unfolding. Do you guys have a take on it other than what we've said so far?
The worst part about all of it, literally, and I know people don't care, which is fitting because it goes under who cares. The worst part about this has been the fear of managing my fantasy lineup day in and day out and being like, do I have to pick up Alfred Morris or Darren McFadden? Like, can I drop McFadden now? Changes, and it's been changing for 6 weeks, and this has been frustrating.
Honestly, the fact that you own Ezekiel Elliott in fantasy couldn't be more perfect. Like, I'm actually amazed that he hasn't not only been suspended for 6 games and like had to like try to start to serve it, but also like blown out his knee in the process.
For like week 3, I think he ran for like 6 yards, which he had never done. I think he had like 9 carries for 6 yards.
Yeah, it wasn't so solid.
That was great. That was so nice for a guy that like didn't go under 100 all year last year
as a rookie.
To third game in the season 2 to have that happen. It was very exciting.
Yeah, it's awesome. Paul, welcome to the show, bud.
What's going on, fellas?
Before we get started with you, just another little play-by-play for you. Melo just had Porzingis on the wing, drove right past him to the hole, and Porzingis just swatted the shit out of his attempt at a layup. So I'm not hating on that. Paul, are you drinking anything tonight, bud?
Yeah, I know we always try to be our best, so I am drinking a beer that was voted America's best in 1893 and not since. Drinking a PBR, fellas.
Hey!
I thought there was going to be a Milwaukee dropped in there.
God, no.
And I was like, wow.
That's a tailgate special right there.
Yeah, wow. But
what is the Milwaukee's best or the PBR?
No, the PBR.
The PBR, like you need to grow like a curly Q mustache, and like
I don't think so.
Wear only like
I do have a pickup truck now.
Oh. I was calling you a hipster.
That would make sense.
Well, I'm envious. That's awesome.
Paul, do you have a we're in the middle of who cares? You jumped in. You have a take on Ezekiel Elliott being able to play that a stay has been granted?
It's ridiculous. I mean, back and forth. I mean, they either have to come to an agreement or this guy's just gotta lay the law down. They got to I don't know what they can do. Like it's
nothing. They can't do anything.
Yeah, they can't do shit.
I legitimately, and we're gonna get to this a little bit later when we talk about the local football teams. I'm legitimately, for the first time in my life, considering maybe stop watching the NFL. And it has nothing to do.
That's ridiculous.
It has nothing to do with the national anthem. It's like, the Ezekiel Elliott crap, on top of the Tom Brady crap, which I'm a Jet fan and I don't agree with the suspension that they had with Brady. And then you don't know what's a catch. You don't know what's a touchdown. You don't know what anything like the NFL has totally outthought themselves, and it's become a product that I'm not enjoying like I used to. And it drives me nuts that they keep adding these stupid layers of bullshit to the story here. Like this guy there shouldn't be a stay. He should sit out. He was suspended. There should be an appeal, and when it doesn't work, it's over. Like sit down. I don't understand
Yeah,
why it's becoming a national issue.
I kind of agree with you, and I kind of don't. I understand what you're saying. Like, I don't think this process was collectively bargained for. Stupidly, but it was collectively bargained for to give Roger Goodell ultimate power. And that sucks. That was a dumb move. But at the same time, this is what you agreed to. And I hate that stuff where you agree to something and then something else happens and you're like, well, wait, that's not fair.
Right.
I made a bad decision. Now I want it differently. Well, come on. So, like, in this case, should Elliott sit out? Yeah, probably. But on the same token, like, what kind of precedent does that set? That this guy can just be judge and jury over everybody. There's no criminal lawsuit, no civil lawsuit brought against Ezekiel Elliott, and you're going to sit there and suspend him for something that he has no legal charges over.
So, but if he had legal charges, you would think differently.
Absolutely.
I don't know if that necessarily matters. I mean, you have your rights to speak your mind. You can say whatever you want, but if you're doing it in the workplace, I mean,
sure,
there's rules. I mean,
but this isn't
you're working for an independent team, not the league itself. But
he didn't. That's not why he's suspended. He's not suspended.
Yeah, it's not a
field.
It wasn't a free speech issue.
Yeah, I know it is. I'm just saying there's rules that you can break a rule, not go to jail, but it's still something you can get suspended, fired.
I think the biggest takeaway from the entire Ezekiel Elliott thing is that it impacts Brett's fantasy football lineup, which I don't understand why Roger Goodell hasn't taken into higher consideration. I mean, it's not just Brett. I mean, plenty of people own.
I have him.
Like Nick has him too. I mean,
there's a bunch of people. I mean, it was all over Twitter the other day. #MeToo. That's what we were talking about, right? Was owning.
Just click the button.
Cares.
Okay, let's move on from that. This one was you, Nick.
Yeah, I got a Bleacher Report update on my phone that on Sunday, Tiger tweeted out a recovery video in his Sunday Red. So it was a video of him driving from some golf course, and he had his Sunday Red polo on, and then he was looking majestically into the sunset.
These are my favorite videos when they come out once a year.
It's like, is this guy kidding me? This guy hasn't done anything. This guy hasn't done anything in years, and now he's tweeting out a 9-second clip of him driving off a tee. Give me a freaking break!
It's so great because it leads up to the tournament played on an island somewhere, which he withdraws from after 6 holes.
Oh, his back is out on the third hole, and then he has to withdraw. Give me a break!
I get so excited.
Didn't he used to wear the red jersey, the red shirt rather, like going into Sunday of every tournament?
Every Sunday.
That's his look. Yeah.
You did not want to face Tiger in that red.
So my question is, because he wore it? When did the video come out, Nick?
It was Sunday.
So do you think that it's like a metaphor? Like this is the Sunday of his career, that like he's driving off of the 18th hole, and he's like,
I don't know. I don't know. I just thought it was ridiculous.
Thanks, Tiger Woods. Just go away.
Who cares?
I definitely didn't put this one on.
Yeah, Rutgers gets their first Big Ten win in 2 years.
But they definitely belong in that conference. Definitely belong there.
Who'd they beat?
Lovie Smith's Illinois.
Ooh, Illinois. That's good. That's good. Did you go to
fuck you, Sean.
Did you go to the game?
I was in Illinois.
Who cares?
Oh, there's no better way to end that segment than on a Rutgers.
Well, Yempo's not here, so this is JP. I just want to chime in and say that it was a great win.
Not so fast, Pat Sajak.
Baseball's just around the corner, Paul.
Yo, the World Series is right around the corner. We should really talk some baseball.
Before we talk local baseball, last night the Cubbies squeaked out a victory to extend that series 3-1 now as of today's recording. Have any of you paid any legitimate attention to that series?
I have.
Okay. Then speak to it, because I have not.
Okay. It's all right. There's a lot of twists and turns here. So there's a lot. I think the Dodgers are clearly the better team. They're up 1-0 right now already in the first inning. Then the Dodgers have Kershaw on the mound, so that might be all they need tonight. I give a lot of credit to the Cubs, but it seems to me that this was like the postseason where like Joe Madden just tried to outthink himself and outmanage himself, and
So
a
you're
lot of
saying he'd be a great NFL official. is what you're saying.
yeah. I mean, we did talk about that, in relation to the NFL, but I overall the takeaway that I've gotten so far from this series is just, man, the Dodgers are good. And I'm, as a Yankee fan, I don't care, if the Yankees are fortunate enough to win either Game 6 or Game 7 in Houston. I don't care who we play in the World Series, but they're a very good team. They have very good pitching, and there's just got guys getting like. Here's an example. I owned Yasiel Puig in fantasy this year. Average to above average player, but nothing super special. This guy can't miss right now in the playoffs. Every ball he is absolutely raking. Their hitters have seemed to catch fire right now at this time. Pitching's been pretty dominant, so they're a very tough team, and they were this year. I think they won over 100 games, so they were a good team. Regardless. So one of the crazy stats was that even after the Indians went on that 22-game winning streak this year, the Dodgers still had a better record than them. So it was like, wow. And there was a point in the season that the Dodgers lost like 15 out of 16 or 16 out of 17.
They sucked for a stretch.
Yeah, and they still finished where they finished. So this is a very, very good baseball team, and they're taking it to the Cubs right now.
I would love the white man's take on why Justin Turner wasn't good enough to be a Met.
I think every Met fan's take is like, why wasn't Justin Turner good enough to be a Met?
Well, to be fair, wasn't he in a logjam at third at that time with Wright?
He wasn't as good as he was now.
Well, no, but no player is at that stage of their career.
I don't know. Let's move on from that series, because the bigger series from our perspective is the local series. We had talked, I guess, at the beginning, was at the beginning of the baseball season, because baseball was always right around the corner for us, but right at the beginning of baseball season, we had talked about expectations for this Yankee team, and then especially when they went on they had that really hot start, we had talked about it, and I think the majority of us, and correct me if I'm wrong, any of you guys, had basically said, the playoffs is a victory, and everything else, they're ahead of schedule. So I can still say without a shadow of a doubt, I think that this team is way ahead of schedule. With all those young guys.
No, they are. It's just, it's really weird. It's a double-edged sword because
you're right there.
Yeah, we're right here, and I think the weird. Somebody said to me 2 days ago, how do you feel? And I was talking about how this is great. We're playing with house money, and I'm just loving watching this team go. And they said to me, listen, yeah, you are, but you might never get back here. It's nice to be like the future's bright and we're ahead of schedule, but ask any Met fan from the World Series 2 years ago where they thought they were going to be in 2 years. And it certainly wasn't. Exactly. It certainly wasn't where they are now. You never know what's going to happen with injuries, with health, with teams gelling, and the way they play throughout the year. You just don't know. So while there's a time where you're like, this is amazing, like and you have to enjoy the run for what it is. Enjoy it. Have fun. Have a good time. But don't just sit here and chalk it up to like, well, it was awesome. It was such a total victory. We made it to the ALCS, and that's amazing. We'll go get them next year, and we'll get to the World Series. You might not.
No, I agree.
Right, and it's been fun to watch. I mean, it's kind of like it's a little bit different than we're used to. I think we're used to like the known commodities, the A-Rods, the Jeters, the Posadas, Pettits, all those guys. This is like a youthful team. They're having fun out there. They're doing the thumbs down. They're just getting crazy. It's a little bit different, different vibe than in past years, past runs.
It's been great.
That's a great point, Brett, though, because I was thinking the same thing. Because you think about any team that you root for, maybe even the Jets when they went to back-to-back AFC title games, you're like, you know what, the future is bright for this team, and then you might not get back to it. So it's like
just
so close. And
just so you know, that was not the perspective of Jet fans at that time. At that time, the perspective of Jet fans was the quarterback's young, but the rest of this team is a win-now team.
Yeah, but I'm just saying you had that. You didn't think that you would get to the point you are right now, I guess. I'm just saying, like, you know,
we always think we're going to be where we are.
Okay, all right, yeah. Keep pounding the 12% beer.
That example. Hey, listen, just because we're going to go into Miami and beat you again this year twice is not, you know. I'll keep pounding whatever I want, homemade wine. Relax over there.
No, the point I'm trying to make is,
please make it.
Everyone, like I said at the beginning of the year, I said the young bats are going to come around. I'm nervous about the pitching though. And the starting pitching has been so unbelievable against this Houston lineup. Remember, Altuve had 3 homers in one game against Boston, that one series.
Mm-hmm.
They have done almost nothing. Tanaka, Sabathia, all down the order, Severino, Gray have all been solid, like very, very good. That's what I've been most impressed with because, you know, doesn't matter what team you are. Teams that win the World Series are built around great pitching.
And timely hitting. And you can see, I mean, I don't know how you guys feel about watching these games, but you can see Houston pressing.
Oh yeah.
They're just they can't do anything right. And they're just sitting there just pressing their ass off at the plate. And that's when you know you got them. You know, so it's certainly not time to pop the champagne corks yet because anybody can win these next 2 games, especially going down there in Houston and having them, you know, set up with Verlander going, you know, tomorrow night. He threw a stud performance against us his last time out, and they win that game, and then you're in Game 7, and anything can happen. And I'll take the home team in Game 7 any possible time I can. So it's not a time for celebration yet, but they're in a good spot, and you just got to enjoy it. You have to be happy with the kids. Everybody's contributing. You know, an unsung hero here. Maybe not unsung, but I have been loving the way Greg Bird has been playing.
Yeah.
For somebody
he's been getting some big hits. I mean, his at-bats have been phenomenal.
For somebody who did not contribute a lot during the season, he had a fantastic spring training. And then, you know, was injured. And when he came back, I think he was hitting like $180. He has really turned it on. And just watching these kids play, it's fun. I mean, everybody up and down the lineup, even watching.
And Bird underrated defensively too.
Yeah,
I mean we have some guys kicking the ball around the infield. Like Jeff said something the other day. Like we can't fucking play defense.
What's up with that? Like, I mean, obviously I've watched them all year. You know, not nearly as closely as probably you have, Brett, because you actually spent a lot of time in the bleachers out there. But
I do.
The defense did not look this bad all year.
No, I mean you'll have your rare game once every 2 months or so, where you just any professional team does, where you just chuck the ball around one night. But it seemed a little more than that, Jeff. Right?
I mean, the last 2 games, if they didn't have an offensive explosion, Castro looks like it's like the first 2 games he's ever played second base.
Yeah, that ball just ate him up the other night, just standing there. I mean, I felt like I could have fielded that ground ball. It was right at you, and he was back on his heels, and it was terrible. It was a bad job.
But then also, wasn't it last night? Maybe it wasn't Castro, and I'm mistaken.
It was the Frazier booted one.
No, I'm talking about the pop up that just dropped in between. I thought
that was Hicks and Castro.
Yeah.
No, I think it was. Oh yeah. It was Hicks and Castro. So like, I just like I don't know, like things like that. You know, you play the Dodgers. I mean, I thought if you played the Astros like that they were going to beat you if you made mistakes like that. But you play the Dodgers, you're going to lose. So you know, it's nice that we're sitting here going, oh, they're so great, blah blah blah, blah, but they're not playing great baseball. They have timely hitting, like you said, Brett, and the pitching's been outstanding. The defense has been bad. It hasn't been okay. It's been bad.
But I think on the plus side is, you know, they're professionals. If you can tighten that up, and you can, game in and game out, now we're talking good defense, timely hitting, stud pitching. And that is a tough team to beat.
But I think the thing that's overlooked here is the timely hitting. You're just kind of like breezing over it. Like, let's put this in perspective. These guys are so young, and they were struggling. Judge was horrible in the ALDS. They won in spite of him. Sanchez has been horrible in the ALCS. Bird was terrible at the beginning of the year. He came around.
Sanchez had a home run last last night. He had a big double the other
I know,
night.
but before that, he was like 0 for 15.
Those are the only two hits he's had in the entire series.
Right. The point I'm making is they have overcome all this adversity. I'm thinking back to playing high school baseball. Like if you're slumping for a couple games, like you feel the pressure. Like in high school, these guys are playing in the ALCS, and Judge couldn't buy a hit in the ALDS, and he just turned it on. And I think that speaks to the character of who they are as players, and that's something that you can build around.
It also speaks to the fact that postseason stats are overrated. Willie Mays was one of the worst World Series performers of all time. Look at his offensive numbers. They're downright putrid. And he's Willie fucking Mays. So it's small sample sizes. You know, you don't get that worked up during the regular season during a 5-game stretch when you play bad against the Chicago White Sox and the Detroit Tigers. And then you bounce back the following series and have 2 home runs and 5 RBIs.
Right.
It's just the course of a season. This is just, you know, it's so small and it gets so blown up because it's the playoffs. And there is something to be said about that. The playoffs are important. It's do or die. You lose these games, you go home. So
you're usually facing better pitching in those
you
series
are.
too. So
You're facing the best of the best at that point. And by the way, 2-0 Dodgers. Kike Hernandez just went deep into center field in Wrigley.
But you know the piece that you're leaving out there, you know, you talk about how it's, you know, you have a 5-game stretch in the middle of July and you're not getting the same shit that you're getting for having the same bad 5-game stretch in October. Like that's, to me, that's the difference in some Hall of Fame careers. I mean, you know, you look at before A-Rod became a Yankee, you know, the biggest knock on the comparison between Jeter and A-Rod was, yeah, A-Rod puts up all the stats, but if you're in a clutch spot, who would you rather have up? And everybody in the world was saying Jeter. Jeter was not, I mean, PEDs aside, Jeter was not the player that A-Rod was. He's not even close. But you can't tell me that if that situation were to occur tomorrow and you had to have one of those guys, that you're not going to take Jeter. So
I still would. Yeah, I'd still choose Jeter.
So it does mean something. You know, they're different games. There's a reason why Reggie Jackson's called Mr. October and he hasn't played baseball in 40 years. I mean, there's a reason for it. And
Absolutely. I mean, this is where you make your name. You know.
what do you think about? I mean,
you could turn it around too. I mean, Kershaw struggled in the playoffs too.
Yep,
I think he's
big time.
He's got like a 4.5 ERA for his career in the playoffs. So,
and that's a huge knock against Kershaw all the time.
throwing tonight, is that what you said?
Yep. Yeah, he's pitching.
So I mean, that can go a long way to turn that around. Just throwing gas in the in a clincher
To clinch the NLCS.
Yeah. We had talked about Judge. He's going to, if he hasn't already, you have to correct me if I'm wrong, he's going to set the postseason strikeout record.
Thought he did that in like the first 2 games.
That was a one series.
No, I know.
What do you think about a guy like that striking out as much as he does, but still putting up those prolific numbers? Does that speak to like the game now that nobody really gives a shit if they strike out, or is that really just a power hitter's problem? Like
it can be a power hitter's problem.
No, I think it's a power hitter's problem because you've seen guys do this over their career. Like a guy like Adam Dunn was not nearly as athletic or flexible as Aaron Judge, but he was like a similar player. He'd be like a home run or strikeout guy. I just think it speaks to the player.
But Judge isn't doing that. I mean, what did Judge hit for this year? It was like 280 something for the season. I mean, like, I mean, it's not over 300, but that's not, you know, that's not 240.
You sign up for that every season. And Adam Dunn, towards the end of his career, was hitting like 211.
Right.
And average is not a be-all, end-all of a player. It's really not a very.
It's not a be-all, end-all, but 211 is bad.
Yeah, it is. But I'll live with those strikeouts with Judge every day. Not
okay. Yeah, but he has to cut him down a little bit. It can't be like 1 for 4, 3 strikeouts every game. Like that. That's not okay. I don't think.
Because you want him to cut him down. You do. I mean, but I'm not overly concerned with strikeouts. And listen, he's not the fastest guy in the world. He's not the most agile guy in the world. But his defense ain't bad. And with his ability to scale a wall or jump and climb a wall, he's going to take some home runs away in his life out there in right field. And he plays a pretty darn good right field, all things considered.
Built like a defensive end.
So that's another thing, though. That's another dimension of his game that's going to definitely get overlooked over the course of his career because of the offensive threat that he is.
And you got to bring into the factor that if there's a brawl, like in a Red Sox Yankee game, like he's a big factor in that fight.
Oh yeah, he's like the mountain in Game of
Let's
Thrones.
not overlook that aspect.
Got a reach. Got the serious reach. We need to bring Vicky back to have that conversation.
The guy that got his tooth knocked out by a helmet.
Yeah.
And mix it up in the blender.
Celebration helmet. What do you think about his strike zone? It always baffled me that like he gets calls, like he gets strikes called that are like below his knees
At his ankles. They're at his ankles
more than anybody that I've ever seen. I don't understand how that's not adjusted. Is that my ignorance or is
No, you're right. You're right.
Yeah, you're right. It's tough. It stinks. You know, we were just talking about it. We would like to see him cut down on strikeouts, but I don't think all of those are his fault. You know, I think he's a victim of a very, very large strike zone. And in the playoffs, typically the strike zone expands. So that makes it even harder for him. And, you know, for somebody that you preach, you know, plate discipline with and to really identify your pitch to cut down on strikeouts, you know, make good swings on your pitches in the zone, all of a sudden the zone expands on you and you're trying to teach yourself to lay off of those. And now they're getting called strikes on you. It really puts you behind the 8 ball.
If you had to, and I'll lead off because this is not written anywhere, so I don't, you know, I'm going to put you guys a little on the spot. If you had to pick one guy that has outperformed what you thought he was going to do in these playoffs, you know, that's my question. Who do you think it would be? For me, and I'll kick us off. It's Sabathia.
Yeah,
because CC Sabathia about a year and a half ago to me looked like he was just toast. Looked like he was gonna maybe hang on because of that contract. Maybe in the postseason he would be your long man if he made the roster at all. And he's been the exact opposite. He has been what Andy Pettitte was to some of those other Yankee teams, that when you need a reliable pitcher on the mound to stop the slide, you give him the ball and you just get the hell out of his way. And aside from that one game where in my opinion Girardi pulled him a little bit too early in this postseason, he's been every bit of dominant that he's ever been in his career. So to me, he's been the pleasant surprise for that team. Anybody have anybody different?
How about Tanaka?
How about
I think he's given up 2 runs in 20 innings this postseason.
Unbelievable.
Been fantastic.
He's been great. I mean, you throw him out there.
Look at his regular season numbers, Paul. I mean, what do you have? Like a ERA over like 4.5?
It wasn't good.
He was so streaky all year. And that's the part that concerns me, like if and when he has to pitch again, was that like he went periods where he was just lights out. You couldn't touch him. And then he'd go a month where literally you'd score 7 runs a game against him in 4 innings. And it was like, what guy are you getting night in and night out? And now we're on this hot streak, Tanaka, and that's fine. Let's ride it.
Right, right time for it.
Yeah.
What I like about Tanaka, Paul, I'm glad you brought him up, is there have been a couple of times in this postseason where he's pitched into trouble, whether it was his fault or somebody else's fault, and he's come back and just like gassed the guy that he has to strike out, and he just celebrates on the mound and turns, and like you see this like medium wide shot of him just like hulking up, just freaking out at the mound. And like, you know, most of the time you don't see that from that guy. Most of the time he comes off the mound and is stoic and walks back to the bench, but you can tell that he's at a different level when it comes up to that moment, and he's come through in each one of those moments. I think it's a good call, Paul. What about you guys?
I would say Greg Bird, only because of how bad he was in the beginning of the year. He looked more lost than anyone I've ever seen. Gets hurt and comes back, and it was kind of like, okay, now we finally have a regular first baseman, but let's just see what he can do. And he's gotten some big hits. He had that solo home run against the Indians to beat them 1-0 in, I think it was Game 3. And he just continues to rake and play solid defense. I think that's really something that is underappreciated.
Good point, Nick. I think you could make it you could really drive it home if you write it on the board behind you in Italian.
I was just thinking that. The thing about Bird too is like he did not have an easy job coming in and replacing the guy that he had to replace, right? I mean, first base, especially defensively, was just such a lockdown position for the last 7, 8 years, 10 years. I don't even know how long.
And then Jason Giambi too.
Well, yeah, the Giambino.
They believe in him though. The Yankees believe in him. Greg Bird's
He's got that grease hair.
I thought you meant some of the schlubs we threw out there this year. It's such random
Chris
first
Carter?
baseman.
They were bad. Chris Carter, he did play some first, right?
Some first. He was the first 3 months of the season.
If they win, he gets a ring, right?
Oh yeah.
No, he gets
No?
voted on. He gets voted. He gets voted by the players.
So they vote if he gets a ring.
Yes.
He'll get a ring. They're not going to not give him a ring. You can't play for
3 months.
Yeah, a third of the season and not.
You can if you provide nothing.
Yeah, he had about 5 or 6 homers, along with like 200 strikeouts and like 300 at bats.
Can you imagine if he was still in that lineup next to Judge?
Oh goddamn! You guys really hit the nail on the head with your 3 guys. I don't think really there's anybody else except for the turnaround that Aroldis Chapman has had.
Right.
He was in a bad spot. He lost his closer role this year.
And off in a garage was bad.
And Girardi handled it really well. That's a fragile thing for guys like that. You take them out of their role and you risk losing them for a very long time. And he didn't. He handled it the right way, and he's back now, and it looks like he is just locked in the zone. Like, I don't fear it anymore. When he was pitching June this year, July this year, and it was a 4-3 game in the 9th, I'd be like, he's definitely...
Here comes 2 walks.
Yep, he's definitely going to walk some guys. He might hit a batter, and somehow, inexplicably, someone's going to hit a 103-mile-an-hour fastball down the middle and score a run and tie this game up. And now it's just like, I'm like, bring up the next guy because he's going to mow him down. So I'm proud of
On the contrary to that, I've been really disappointed in Betances because he's someone that you assume is when your bullpen's going, he's going to be the guy before Chapman, and he looks so lost out there.
You can't.
Ferrari just throws him out there, and he just walks 2 guys on like 8 pitches.
I don't think
Paul, you're right. You can't throw him.
You can't throw him. It
It
doesn't even make your World Series roster.
He might not. There's a significant chance he doesn't make the World Series roster if they go.
Yeah, but who pitched the 9th last night?
Tommy Kahnle.
Kahnle, I mean, Kahnle's doing anything you want Betances to do, so why even bother?
And he's throwing 99.
Right.
You know, Kahnle was hitting 99 last night, so
you don't need the kid. You don't.
right. And it's upsetting because he was, not only can he throw 100 miles an hour, if right, his off-speed stuff is just filthy.
But
But
he's big
he's just
if though.
not even.
But he throws it like over Sanchez's head like every other pitch.
Yeah, he's got the old Andy Lynn in like 3rd grade.
I mean, that is just the yips times 20.
Tried the corner,
Yeah.
missed.
I mean, you watch him. What game was it in the ALCS? And he was pitching. I mean, it was like meaningless inning, but I was like cringing because I was just like, oh god, this guy. You could tell how like embarrassed and flustered he was. Like he could not find the strike zone.
No, it was game 3 or game 4. Yeah, I can't remember which
Oh
one. But
god, terrible.
The honorable mention that we didn't talk about for guys that have really come up big in a surprise goes to the Todd father.
yeah.
Frazier to me has really got that, and I sent this as a message to you guys, and only Nick responded, which means maybe I'm wrong because Nick was probably like 8 or 7 when this team existed, or 4. I don't even know how the hell old you were when this team existed, but he's got like that Scotty Brocious feel to me right now. Like he's just like the energy guy that in a big spot has come up big a couple of times in this playoff run. That like when he gets to the plate and there needs to be something to happen, like I'm just kind of expecting him to come through, not necessarily with the huge hit, but like something that's going to at least make a positive impact on this team. I've been really, I don't know if he's a Jersey guy, but there's just something about Frazier that I'm enjoying watching this postseason.
I do wholeheartedly agree with you on that, Jeff. But I feel that way about a lot of other guys, and that's why I didn't say Todd Frazier. I feel that way right now about Brett Gardner.
Yeah, I agree with that.
If I need a hit and Brett Gardner's up, I feel like he's going to get it done. I feel that way about Didi Gregorius right now. So there's definite. It's great. It's not a bad thing. Like it's not like anybody's wrong here.
I'll put it this way. I feel it more about Didi, Gardner, and Frazier than I do about Judge or Sanchez.
Yeah, in terms of a big hit. Yeah. I like Sanchez in big spots too. I
think they're a bigger threat to do some big. I'm
Consistently, yeah. But let's not forget the last 2 games. Judge and Sanchez have had the biggest hits. You know what I mean?
And
knock it.
in the blink of an eye, Sanchez can put one 450. And Gardner doesn't necessarily do that, but Gardner will slash one down the line for you.
Right.
So
After a 47 pitch at bat.
I read such a great article on Fangraphs the day after that happened. And they broke down the at bat pitch by pitch. It was just such a phenomenal at bat. Underappreciated.
Yeah, impressive. I mean, he's and look, he's the veteran now on that team, right? He's the longest tenured Yankee.
The longest tenured guy, yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I never thought I'd see that be the day, especially remember when they went out and they signed Ellsbury? Went out and signed Ellsbury, and I'm like, you just gave like $100 million, like
$153 million for like 7 years or something.
$153 million to a guy that does what Brett Gardner does, not as good as what Brett Gardner does. Like that was my statement when they signed that contract. It made no sense. To me.
Literally. And they signed him because he stole like 40-something bases the year before. Obviously, he's not going to continue to do that.
He hit 30 home runs or 40 home runs, 30 home runs, I think.
He had a complete outlier of a year. Like
he had a complete outlier, and he got his money.
And
so
you know what? Honestly, he's not a bad player, but right now he has.
But when he's on the books for like 16-17 million a year,
the Yankees, that doesn't matter. But realistically, right now he's been relegated to a spot DH, a pinch and a pinch runner. Right?
Yeah.
I mean, he's not going to see any consistent time if they make the World Series. Right?
I don't know.
I really have 1 start in this postseason, 2 starts at the DH.
Well, it was like Headley, Ellsbury rotating. Then they threw Holiday in. Then Holiday did nothing. So then they just rolled with Headley because he's been hitting now.
It's tough to really get any of those guys going if you're not going to put them in the lineup consistently. Like Holiday did nothing, but Holiday, blink of an eye, could do exactly what you said Sanchez does. He could drop one 450 feet in the stand.
That'd be awesome. Yeah, I would love for that to happen. Holiday's only going to get a shot against left-handers.
Right.
So,
their roster to me appears that it was, and again, maybe it's just, hindsight to look back at it, but it appears that it's been put together for this run. Like,
it has.
The Cashman has been aware of the fact that, listen, we might need a pinch runner, and Ellsbury's the guy. We might need a pinch hitter against a lefty reliever, and Holiday's the guy. Like there's an answer for every possible situation. Now, whether it comes through or not, it's a different story.
Absolutely.
They have the personnel.
He's done a great job putting this team together. I don't know how he doesn't have a contract yet.
He'll get one.
They just don't do it.
Yeah, it's up to him. And there's another run, I think, for the Dodgers. Turner just ripped a ball into the gap, and it's 3-0 LA.
The Knicks are winning, by the way.
Of course they are.
You know what, Jeff? You're right. They are built for this, and it shouldn't be much of a surprise. Like even before the postseason started, when the season was winding down, even ESPN had articles up on ESPN.com about the team, the roster best built for this in the American League was the Yankees. Out of the Red Sox, the Twins, the Indians, whatever, the Yankees had the best build for this type of stuff, and that's a credit directly to Brian Cashman. So good job on him putting this team together.
Yeah, that's why it was so frustrating watching them only have to play in that wild card game, because I was like saying the last like month and a half of the season, I'm like they're a better team than the Red Sox. They were beating them head to head, and the Red Sox, like, you just felt like, how the hell are they holding on to this lead?
They were winning games. The Red Sox they were a victim of luck, and it'll probably break differently next year or 2 years from now for them. But there was every game this season they were down 4-2 in the 9th, and they somehow scored 2 in the 9th to tie it, and then won 5-4 in the 14th inning.
Yeah,
and it happened consistently, and that doesn't,
especially towards the end of the year when the Yanks were hot too. Like
they barely gained anything on them. And that shouldn't really happen, and it did, and it's a credit to this year's Red Sox team and how hard they played. But it's probably not going forward. I think the Yankees are still the better roster, and I think they're the better team.
So we're not there at all, right?
At all.
Let's who's feeding back? I'm hearing me in my headphones. Anybody else hearing that?
Yeah,
it was. You're good now.
Okay.
I was. Yeah, I'm not.
Who is, if you're looking at the Dodgers pitching rotation, who's their 3? Because they've got They've got the big two, right? Who's their third and fourth pitchers?
Rich
know-
Hill.
Hill?
Is Hill there?
Yeah, Rich Hill.
Yeah.
I threw yesterday. Wood.
Yu Darvish. They have Yu Darvish, Wood, Hill, and Kershaw.
Okay,
Right.
So, aside from those first two, you know,
And probably the best reliever in baseball, in Kenley Jansen.
yeah,
Debatable.
but even still, I'm not. You know, I'll put the Yankees bullpen up against theirs.
Sure. Yes.
So I don't know. We'll see. I mean, it could be interesting. Anybody have any last take they want to say about that series before we do predictions as to if you think they get out of it or not? Any other takes that we haven't shared?
Just don't touch the money.
Don't touch the money. All right. Who's winning this series, Paul? We're going back to Houston for 2. Yanks got to split them. Who's winning?
Yanks get it done against Verlander.
Next game.
Next game.
Nick.
I just can't help but think that Verlander's gonna somehow win and throw like a nine inning shutout. But I think they'll win in Game 7 just to make it dramatic.
Okay.
I know how. His wife would be like, win for me.
Oh yeah, I think I'd listen to her too.
What is she? Freaking Adrian from Rocky?
Win.
You can't win.
Who do you got, Bubs?
The Yankees score 87 runs in 2 innings off Verlander tomorrow.
Wow.
A lot of runs.
They take it. Puig just hit a single to right, and Dodgers. Nope, holding it. Bases loaded, no outs though for the Dodgers.
Yeah, I'm sure that'll end poorly. Tomorrow, throwing for the Yanks, Severino, correct?
Yes.
And then 7 would be Sabathia, correct? So the Yanks are going. They're going to Game 7. Sabathia is going to throw a 7-inning, 1-run, 3-hit gem.
10 strikeout gem.
Turn it over to Robertson, who then hands it on to Chapman, and they just mow him down 6 straight. So the Yanks are going to take it, but it's going to go 7. So that is, in fact, my take. We got a couple minutes. Let's go over the local football action very briefly. Giants got to win. Any of you see that coming?
No.
No.
Yeah.
You did, Paul?
No.
They said that this is the first time like multiple like double point underdogs won this week.
How many did? How many won?
I think 3.
Oh, interesting. Like one
Well,
out.
at least the Giants and the Dolphins definitely did on the road, which no one saw coming. I just thought that was interesting. The Giants game more so because they had no receivers.
Right. I don't know who the hell was catching the ball.
Evan
Against
Ingram.
that secondary, I don't know how the hell they moved the ball.
I think it's hysterical that like they literally have no wide receivers, and when they had them, they couldn't run the ball, and then every wide receiver goes down, and suddenly they find a running game. Like the NFL is just whack, just totally.
It
whack.
really is. You can't predict anything.
And then the Jet game, you know, it's so far away at this point, so I don't want to really harp on it. But Brett, I mean, it was our 2 teams playing against each other.
Yeah.
Obviously, division game. I need you to walk me through.
Did you go to the game, Jeff?
No, I sold the game. I need you to walk me through how that legitimately, from a Patriot fan perspective, not from an outsider perspective, how was that call overturned?
I mean, I know how they explained it right after it happened, but I agree with you, man. I just think it was a bad call. I really do. I'm not even,
Well, because apparently, according to the rule, it's not a bad call. It was
But
just-
all right. So that's the thing. So let me say this. Let me throw a little perspective on it. Right.
Yeah.
So I'm watching it, and my wife walks in, and the ref comes on and explains it, and she watches the replay, and she just goes, "Yeah, they're right. What's the big deal?" And is it that simple? Like, is it that? Like, I couldn't wrap my head around it in the moment. And her answer was so quick and succinct. That's just like, yeah, that's exactly what happened. What he said was happening. So
Yeah, but the problem I had with it was like, okay, I saw the fumble. I saw that he lost possession, right? But then like I thought it was like clear as day that he had the ball after the fumble. Like he had it and then fell into the pylon.
here's the only thing that trips us up. And I'll say this, again, with the caveat that I believe it was a bad call. Instant replay makes us think time is way longer than it is.
right. The slow motion.
Okay.
Yeah.
Slow motion. He had the ball for about 1/10 of a second. And that is not enough time to reestablish possession. While it looks like that slowed down because you look at it and go, yeah, he's got it there. He's got it there. He's got it there. It's so fast that that's not enough time to be like, you have possession of the ball. And I hate the offensive zone fumble out of bounds past the pylon is a touchback.
Right. They changed that rule.
That is the worst rule in the NFL.
Here's what I hate, right? Is that this is not the first time that some dopey call like that has changed the outcome of a game significantly. A couple years ago in a Seattle Green Bay game, at the end of the game, I believe it was like a dual possession or something like that that was all fucked up. The Des Bryant catch that wasn't a catch, the Calvin Johnson touchdown that wasn't a touchdown. Like enough. Like when we were growing up and you would go into the backyard of your buddy's house and you'd have the Nerf whistler that you were going to play backyard football with.
Turbo Screamer, baby. Yeah.
You had your fucking eyes. Your eyes were the test. Like you caught the ball and you went into the end zone as a touchdown, and then everybody turns around and you go the other way. Like, why is it so? Why have they overcomplicated the issue? Anybody that doesn't have advanced knowledge of what that stupid rule was would have looked at that and been like, oh yeah, no, that's a touchdown, right? You said your wife's like, yeah, no, it's what he said. Okay, but if he didn't come out and say that, she would have probably looked at it and been like, no, you scored a touchdown.
Right. Yes, I think so. I mean, obviously it didn't happen.
Why can't the eye test be legitimate? Like, what the fuck are we doing that it has to be so goddamn complicated to figure out what's a catch, what's a touchdown, what's a turnover? Are there 2 feet in bounds? So this toe wasn't enough. Fucking enough. It drags the game on forever. And it takes away every spontaneous action that happens in the game. A guy on your team makes an awesome play, whether it's an interception or a catch, and you're just holding your breath like, oh, they're going to review this. What if?
Yep. It happens to me on every touchdown I watch.
It's nonsense.
It kills the flow of the game. It kills the flow of watching the game. Like, NFL,
you never thought I would say
down again, and it's got to be part of it.
Just get rid of replay. Get rid of it.
Yeah, I don't think that's happening.
Just get rid of it. Either that or get it right. Like, figure it out. Like you can't have it and then still get things wrong, which they do all the time. So It's just.
I don't know if you guys feel this way on Sunday. Literally every touchdown that happens for my team, I'm like, oh god.
Yeah, no, exactly. Every time it's like an interception too. It's like, oh my god, the whole team is so hyped because we just had an interception and everyone's jumping around. But then, oh, hold on, we got to review it.
Immediately, first thought in my head,
and then the whole team standing around with their thumb up their ass. Momentum's gone, excitement's gone, and now the play got overturned.
How about being in the stadium? I'm a season ticket holder. That shit happens and the place goes crazy, and then we got to sit there like a bunch of assholes.
Like you guys were the idiots.
While they go to a commercial.
Yeah, go get some nacho fries.
To sell Budweiser and freaking McDonald's while we're waiting for some jerk off to talk to some other jerk off in New York to say, nah, he had 1 foot in like enough.
Well, what do you think? What do you think, Jeff?
Hey,
it's
before
like 5 arbitrary fans just sitting watching the game, be like, "Yeah, it was a fucking catch," or "No, it wasn't a fucking catch."
We're good.
Let's go to Brett in the.
Put a beer in his hand. Like you have to have a beer. You have to have a beer, and then
a stained T-shirt, right, Nikki?
Yeah.
Before we move on, and Kike Hernandez, second home run of the night, grand slam, 7-0 Dodgers. I think that's going to be enough for Kershaw.
What inning?
Third inning. So it might look like the Dodgers are going to the World Series.
What time did that game start? 8?
Yeah.
Okay. Interesting. All right. That's my take on the NFL. I can't really talk too much about it. There's too much other stuff going on. Although this weekend, huge divisional game as the Jets go into Miami.
Hey man, miss you. How about me before I go?
It's gonna be a good time down in Miami this weekend. Can't wait.
That is the greatest sound drop you've ever created.
Does anybody know the line on that game? What's the Jets talk?
A line of coke, I think.
Line. It's time for your favorite segment and mine. Over under. Let's go through really quickly the NBA over under lines for the locals and make a pick around the panel here. I'm mad that our $1 million man's not here to make his picks to go on record.
No, I'm very glad he's not here because he shit on me for my World Series picks, and the motherfucker couldn't pick one game last week. The 4 games he picked, he was fucking wrong. Yempo.
Because you don't know anything.
Iowa State comes out, wins 45-0. His lock of Kansas City, how'd that go? Fuck you, Yempo.
Yeah, he
Not
crushed
so
it.
fast, Pet Sajak. Whatever, Yempo.
And now we're gonna get a text tomorrow morning at 11:15. I just listened to the show. Oh, Paul, you're just a jerk off.
We will get that text.
You don't know what you're talking about, Paul.
Somehow, I don't know what you're talking about. I'm up $5,000 this season.
I'm up like 400 bucks, bro.
Okay.
So I was looking for the first quarter line on.
Whatever. All right, over under. Let's go with the Knicks. Are the Knicks still winning, Paul, or you turn it off?
Nah, it's off.
The Knicks over under 30.5, so 30.5. Paul, you take the over or the under?
I'm taking the under.
The under. Okay.
I
Nikki,
think they're going to be bad.
Over.
30.5 for the Knicks. You take the
Over.
Take the over. Okay. Brett.
I told you guys the other night, over 34 wins. The Knicks are going to win 34 games.
I am going to go over as well. Over 30 and a half. I think they squeak out like 32. The Brooklyn Nets, who are suddenly without the dreadlocked Jeremy Lin,
He's the fucking worst. He is the worst.
dropped over 130 points last night in regulation.
But still lost.
And still lost. That's how they played every game last year, too.
It did.
Over under 26 and a half. Okay. Over under 26.
Over.
Over. Okay. You think they're gonna go over? Okay.
I think so.
Bobby?
I don't see it. I mean, I actually think this is a pretty good line. Like,
Let me tell you
Yeah, they're
something.
going to hover around like 25-ish.
yeah, like I think this is
Every line I looked at that Vegas set for the over/under in the NBA was like so on fucking point.
yeah, this is exactly how I feel about the Nets. And just because fuck them, I'll say under.
Okay, Paul.
Oh, come on.
I say under. I don't think they're better than the Knicks, and I went under with the Knicks, so got to go under.
I'm gonna go over. I think they're gonna win 27 games. I think it's gonna come down to like the last week of the season, and they're gonna have somebody playing like
They'll play the Cavs without LeBron. Like LeBron will sit and like
that, or they'll end up playing like the Knicks, and Porzingis will have been out for the last month after he tore his like patella or something like that. You know,
Patella.
whatever. So I'm gonna go over. Nikki, let's go with some good picks that you've got. You and I have got some good picks that we think on the over under lines.
This is not as much of a lock as Yempo's weekly NFL picks.
Okay. Make it happen. What do you got?
I like Cleveland over 54.5. I think they're just too good to only win 54 games.
They're stacked.
They're just stacked. They're stacked. They're going to win, I think, close to 60.
They might. They might
I also
win.
got Detroit under 38.5. I don't see much of a roster there. They got Andre Drummond and like no one else. So I just see them under that. And also the Kings. I think the Kings are going to be vying for the worst team in the league, under 29.5. I think they're a lock for that.
which is still 3 wins over the Nets.
Over. Say it right. Over.
Over.
My three are all over. I'm gonna go the Bucks over 46.5.
I like that pick very much.
I
Jeff.
think there's way too much talent on that team to not win close to 50 games. I think they take a huge leap here. I love their coach. He did a great job coaching the Knicks a couple of years ago while he was de facto playing. I think they're going to take the next step, and Parker coming back, I think will do some good things for that team. And the Greek Freak is just disgusting. Charlotte plus 42.5. I think they're way too good of a team to hover around that 500 mark. I see them as more like a 46 to 48 win team, and you know the middle of that Eastern Conference. And the last one, this is my team that I am riding hard for the next couple of years. Is the Tom Thibodeau led Minnesota T-Wolves at plus 46.5. I think this is a 50-win team. You got Jimmy Butler heading over there. You got the Cat over there. They're Wiggins. They're stacked, and I don't understand how they're going to not hit that 50-win mark unless somebody goes down with a major injury, which we've had a lot of in the beginning of this season right now.
Try to say Tom Thibodeau's Timberwolves 3 times fast.
Tom Thibodeau's Timberwolves. Tom Thibodeau's. Tom Thibodeau's.
Thunder.
Tom Thibodeau's Timberwolves.
I never said that. Okay, I never said that. So those are my 3. Take the over on Milwaukee, the over on Charlotte, and the over on Minnesota. Lock it up.
Jeff and Nick's Craig Carton, lock of the weeks.
La 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 la. Lock me up. All right. Yeah, why not? Let's see. Let's do this. Maybe.
Hang on, bartender. Give me one more of those scotch and Peptos. I got a case of squirts, but I still want to drink.
A last call for alcohol.
So what you need?
So what you need?
One bourbon.
All right. As of recording time, Dodgers up 7-0. Raiders up 14-10 on the Chiefs. Did you guys know that tonight was referred to as
the eclipse or something?
Yeah, the pro sports eclipse.
It's pretty cool.
All four sports.
Yeah, it's only the 17th time in the history of these 4 sports existing that the 4 major sports in America have played on the same day.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
A lot of it.
I actually don't like it.
It makes it tough to watch. What are you going to watch? Thank God the Yankees aren't on.
Yeah, right.
All right, last call. Paul, you have anything you want to mention?
Now a couple big college football games. Saturday night, you got Michigan, Penn State. You got USC, Notre Dame. 2 good games. I mean, those teams have difficult road after these top matchups, but we'll see if it changes the rankings at all. But I'd be interested to see what Michigan looks like against Penn State at Penn State, and USC going to Notre Dame. I mean, what is Notre Dame? I mean, are they really a top team? Are they back, or they're just going to falter in a big game against the future Giants quarterback Sam Darnold?
or as Sean says, will Notre Dame trip over the finish line? So we'll see. It's a good call. Nikki, what do you got?
It's homecoming Saturday. I will be at High Point Solution Stadium. I will be at the bars beforehand and afterwards. So, JP, if you want to hang out, hit me up.
That should be interesting.
Wait, who'd they schedule their homecoming game against? Who's it
Purdue.
against?
Is Drew Brees playing in that game?
I don't think so.
Okay. Bubby, what do you got?
Super Bowl rematch, prime time, Sunday night. New England Patriots, Atlanta Falcons. Both teams vastly different, I think, from the teams that they were last season or at the end of last season. So it'll be very interesting. Atlanta has found
who we thought they were.
Atlanta found a way to blow 2 games and take L's, but they seem like a different team.
Different than what we saw in the Super Bowl.
No, yeah. Well, here's the difference: is that they were in the red zone both times. They blew those leads at the end of the game. At the end of the game this year, the Super Bowl was just an epic collapse for an entire quarter and a half.
Who was it?
I'm excited for that.
Did you guys see that shirt I posted about
I was gonna say, talk about that because that's funny.
The shirt. So some guy, a Miami Dolphins fan, made a shirt that said, "Our coaches do blow, but your coaches."
No. You're screwing it up.
What was it?
The homemade wine that's screwing up. It's our coaches blow lines. Your coaches blow leads.
And they had a picture of the offensive line coach snorting.
I think I can clear up the whole blow lines, blow leads thing.
The Pam Pen thing.
Pen.
2 things for me. The Tigers are apparently naming their new manager as Ron Gardenhire, who I think was last year. He was in Arizona. He was the bench coach there, but he's better known for spending many years as the
Minnesota.
The Twins manager, which has got to be a real kick in the balls after he leaves, and then suddenly they're good again. And then the last thing I have here, according to ESPN.com, Teddy Bridgewater thinks he's going to come back and play again this year. He's going to return to practice this week, I guess, and he's claiming
That division's wide open.
claiming he's going to play in 2017. So that's a big deal. I mean, if he can come back and he can be semi-proficient, he's going to get that job because Bradford's still hurt, isn't he?
Yeah, he can't stay healthy. But again, like the division's wide open. So I mean, it's anyone's for the thing. I mean, probably not Chicago, but Detroit and Minnesota are right there.
Yeah.
Nick, how do you feel about the division? Is it close or
What division?
it's wide open, right?
I mean, if they could string like a couple of games together, like, you know, if you were to win them like back to back,
And belly to belly.
that would be an interesting way to go out, you know.
Since we're in our sports eclipse and we go on way too long at this last call, Raiders up 14-10 and driving. Big Amari Cooper game. If you have him in fantasy, Brett, do you?
What is? Yes, I do. What does he have?
Two touchdowns.
Stop! Really?
Four for 109 with 2 touches.
Stop!
Not so fast, Pat Sajak.
Tim and I are going to be very happy then. Tim owns him as well. We are both lamenting over the fact that he catches 1 ball a week for 4 yards.
Well, the Raiders, you know,
They are who we thought they were.
saying that for weeks.
And we let him off the hook.
That's going to do it for us tonight. So thanks for taking the time. We appreciate you hanging in there a little bit later this week for us to get you this show. Shout out to Chris Gannon, who was chomping at the bit for it. Hope we lived up to your expectations today.
Yeah, I'm buzzed.
The Yanks are on the precipice of playing for a title. So if the next week goes the same way, you're going to hear us on a night that the Yankees aren't playing. That's just the way it's gonna work. So you're going to have to go ahead and deal with that. Check us out on social media, Low Outside Sport. I hear our Snapchat
is lit.
It's lit. Lowandoutside.com. Check out lowandoutside.com over the next week or so. We're going to have a redesign to it with some new material coming in. Shout out to Francis McNeil, who is really organizing our whole farts section. That's fine arts. He's going to do a whole redesign on the whole thing. And last shout out goes to our graphic designer who designed our logo. My brother, Rudy, getting married this weekend on Saturday.
Yeah, Rue.
We're gonna turn up at the Rudy. It's gonna be a good time. Hopefully, one of his friends tries to steal a bottle of vodka and walks out of there and drops it right in front of him.
It's a bad friend. I would never do something like that.
God, we were so fucked up here.
I would never eat here. I'm the asshole.
I'm the asshole.
Again, thanks for taking the time, everybody. Until next week, we'll catch you later.
Desperandum, dear lady. Across the desert lies the promised land. Goodbye, Mrs. Gloop. You, auf Wiedersehen, Gesundheit, farewell.
Fare thee well to you, my own true love. River Mercy, fare thee well. I am bound for California, a place that I know right well. So fare thee well, my own true love. When I return united we will be. It's not the leaving of Liverpool that's grieving me, but my darling, when I